sunny Saturday, and I'm your host, Kimberly Pro. Welcome to this morning's edition of Wasatch Weekends. It's March 23rd, and on today's show, I had a conversation with the artist and designer of the Statue of Responsibility and his wife about the foundation, all that's happening in Utah. It's quite exciting. Plus, it is National Chip and Dip Day and National Puppy Day. In honor of those things, I had a conversation with Nuzzles and Company, and also we take a look back at making a stadium filled with chips and dip. Very exciting stuff. And then important conversations need to be had around dermatitis and more. All of that's happening on this morning's show. But before we get started, I know you want to see what that weather is going to look like today. Yin and yang, north and south, east and west, every single thing needs to have an accountability. And I had a conversation with the artist and visionary behind the Statue of Responsibility, the West Coast version of the Statue of Liberty. Let's take a look at that conversation. Now, welcome back to our show. I am so excited about our next guest because they are doing something so incredible and just magnificent. Joining me today is sculptor Gary Lee Price and Lisa Clark Price, who is in charge of the foundation of the Statue of Responsibility. And what is that, you might ask? Well, they're here to tell us all about it. How are you both?
We're great. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
So I'm so excited to tell our viewers and to learn more about this incredible project. So the Statue of Responsibility. Gary, tell us a bit about it and what exactly is it?
So I'm the sculptor, the designer of the statue itself, but the idea came from Dr. Viktor E. Frankl, a Holocaust survivor. And in the 60s, Dr. Frankl lectured all over America. And he talked about responsibility and what was going on with the country at that time, and talking about, okay, you have America, this beautiful country, you've got your freedom, you've got your Statue of Liberty, but freedom without responsibility can dwindle into mere arbitrariness, he called it. And so he says, what if you bookended your nation, Statue of Liberty here, Statue of Responsibility in the West? And that was such a great, incredible, novel idea. Nothing ever happened with it, but Stephen R. Covey, on Viktor Frankl's, basically his deathbed, said, Victor, I love that idea of a Statue of Responsibility. I want to make that happen. I'm going to seek out a sculptor, and I want that to happen. And so Stephen R. Covey reached out to me, asked me to design it. I did, flew to Vienna because Viktor Frankl had passed away, showed the design to Mrs. L.A. Frankl, and she approved the design, and we've been after the project ever since.
Well, I love Dr. Frankl's quote, you know, freedom is only part of the story and half of the truth. And so to be able to kind of complete that phrase from an artistic perspective, and it's just incredible. So Gary, you know, what drew you to this project? Why did you decide that you could relate to this, you could really embody the vision and bring it to life?
Okay, so how do you sculpt, you know, visually such an incredible, big, heavy word, responsibility? I mean, it's huge. You think of the weight of that word. So years ago, and I'm going to grab a sculpture that I did here. Years ago, I did a sculpture entitled The Ascent, They Rise Highest Who Lift As They Go. And at the time I was represented by Meyer Gallery in Park City. We put this piece up there. We put 8-foot versions, different ones. It became an overnight success.
Wow.
so many people were touched by the piece, and what that meant right there, that clasping, that coming togetherness and lifting each other up. And so in just trying to decide how do I depict that, for me it was okay, that to me that represents responsibility. It's that we're there for each other. We can be there, and it represents that where does responsibility start? This is the cool thing.
Yeah.
It starts right here
Yeah.
with ourselves.
Yeah. It's so
So
true. And, accountability and responsibility, I think they're kind of synonymous there. So let's talk a little bit, you have some personal ties because you really kind of lifted yourself up and you've had people that helped, I guess, become who you are. So talk to me about that, Gary.
well, I'm looking at my sweetheart right now because we came together 15 years ago, and we have had some phenomenal things happen between the two of us. Um, and I think life is a team effort. You can only do so much alone. It's even like casting my work. Without my foundry and the people that are helping make the molds and pour the bronze and all that stuff, there's only so much an artist can do. There's only so much one person can do. And so I'm grateful for Lisa and what she has done and what the progress that we've made with the statue. But having gone through, a horrific childhood, having, abuse and different things that happened on so many different levels, and then being able to come out of that, I think what that did, and I came out with my memoirs recently. It's called Divine Turbulence. We all go through stuff, right? There's nobody, I don't think, that's had nearly an ideal life. And so through all that stuff, I wouldn't take it back because it's created, I guess you could say, it's made me who I am today. And I'm
Yeah.
happy with myself, and I'm happy with the fact that this is one of the fruits of going through all those trials and tribulations, if you would.
Absolutely. And Gary, I can say you exude confidence and peace just talking to you. So I love that. And I love that you called Lisa your sweetheart. So Lisa, talk to me about your involvement. You are the visionary behind the foundation, behind the nonprofit. Tell me all of that.
I really feel that it's part of our divine journey together. Gary hinted just a tiny bit about his childhood. And what he didn't say that I think deserves to be said is that he witnessed the murder-suicide of his mom and stepfather, and his beautiful mom is right behind us here. And I just think that was a part of the journey to have him really understand the depth of what Viktor Frankl had experienced in the concentration camps. And then for us to come together after I was widowed when I was so young through suicide, I think we've both been through some of the fires of life to be able to understand what it means to be the hand that needs a hand. And now we're in a space where we're able to personally understand what it means to be both and to get to be the hand reaching back. So the foundation is all about that. We are a completely approved 501c3. We have some amazing people behind us. And we're right now really hoping that the Statue of Responsibility finds a home here in Utah.
That's amazing. So tell us all about the statue. Where is it being resurrected? I guess you could, or yes, where is it being built? Where can we find more information? How can we be part of the foundation to donate?
So I will just mention one thing here.
He brought something.
When we found out that Utah and the governor were contemplating, okay, Governor Cox said, in this 600-acre development at the point of the mountain where the former Utah State Prison has been since 1953, I believe. Of course, for the past few years, it's been all torn down, demolished, and it's been moved to the west of the airport. We went out there, and I picked up a piece of one of the walls there at the prison, and just thinking about, okay, there was a prison, there were so many people incarcerated and all of that stuff that happened, and then to end up possibly with this there, I mean, what a transformation of from one thing to another, a metamorphosis. And so,
of what's possible. And
Yeah.
that's what we hope the Statue of Responsibility will be to not only Utahns, but to America and to the world, because we have an unprecedented opportunity here with this project, and in particular in Utah, to do something that's history making, that's never been done before, and that can leave something new, something vibrant, something inspirational to generations that are to follow. And really, that's our big motivation. It's all about grandkids and great grandkids and their posterity. So,
which we have 20 of,
Yes.
20 grandchildren between the two of us.
Wow. How incredible is that? And I think what is also incredible, this structure will be approximately 305 feet tall. So when will it be? What's the estimated completion date? When can people come see it? And tell us all of those details.
Go ahead, babe.
you know, we're hoping to get started on that right away, perhaps even this summer, 2024. It will most likely take 7 years, somewhere in there, give or take a year, for us to get completed, possibly even 6. But it just kind of depends on how fast the big wheels move, right?
As is
I do
everything in
wanna
life,
point
right?
out-
Oh, we
Yes.
appreciate you both. Gary, this is such an incredible design, and I cannot wait till its completion and just to follow along with the resurrecting of it. So, Lisa, where can we go for more information? Tell us all of the details if we want to kind of follow the journey and or contribute, because this is privately funded as well.
Thank you. It is privately funded. That's a big part of it. We want everyone to know that, and we want everyone to be included. And you can do that by following us on Instagram or Facebook, any social media platform. But most importantly, you can see what's happening on our website at www.statueofresponsibility.org.
Wonderful. Well, Gary and Lisa, pleasure to have you both on the show. You're just a lovely couple, and very excited to see this project come to fruition.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. We really appreciate it.
We'll
Thank
look
you.
forward to keeping you posted.
Please, please do. We love that. Now stay tuned. We'll be back with more right after this.
This is an awesome opportunity to share a little bit about the Statue of Responsibility. It's something I learned about a couple years ago. I didn't realize it had connections to Utah, but it's something I desperately wanted here in Utah, something that I believe represents who we are and what we believe in. As you can see, it's these two arms interlocking, one lifting another, and that's who we are at our core, at our best. It's who we are as Utahns, but more importantly, it's who we are as Americans. Of course, we have a Statue of Liberty, and we believe in freedom and liberty, but liberty and freedom without responsibility just leads to chaos and selfishness. We care about our fellow man. We care about the people in our state, those who are struggling, those who need our help and need a hand up. And that's what we've always done. We lead the nation in charitable giving. We lead the nation in service and volunteering. And that's what makes our state so special. That's who we are at our core. And it's something I want to pass on to future generations. And having the Statue of Responsibility here will allow us to plant our flag, plant our statue, to let the world know what we believe in, what we stand for, and that we believe that we can make the world a better place. And it's something we can pass on to future generations. So I hope you'll join me in supporting this incredible project.
Chips and Dip Day, sign me up. I love a good chip and dip, and I loved making this fun stadium filled with snacks. So let's take a look at the first part of how to build a stadium. We're back. We're here in the kitchen again.
In the kitchen, love it.
Because there is a big game happening at the end of the week,
That's
and
right.
you've got to have all of the fun things to make it happen,
Yeah.
to entertain and to be entertained, right?
Yeah.
Well, we are going to make, everybody loves a snack and everybody loves dips, right?
Right.
What's your favorite dip
Oh
during a
man,
Super Bowl?
something hot and cheesy.
Hot and cheesy.
Yeah.
Well, this is not the hot and cheesy
Oh, that's
version
okay.
because we've got to make the structure. We are making a tinfoil aluminum football stadium.
Awesome.
To put all of the snacks, all of the dips in, and it's just a really fun way to entertain your friends and family if you're watching the big game.
Love it.
So pretty awesome. So we've got 2 aluminum sizes here
Cool.
of these tins. So the big one is going to be your field, and then the little ones are actually going to be your stands.
Sweet.
Yeah, pretty great. So all we're going to be doing is just assembling it. And then we've got straws. We like straws.
Cool.
Because these will make the goalposts. And so I'm going to task you with being creative and making a goalpost.
All right. Love that.
So we've got scissors here, and then you've got you can make this in like bigger versions of it, but we're just going to do a small one. A lot of these bigger versions, and I think you mentioned you've seen it, where you take Coke boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have no idea how to assemble that one, so we're not going to even attempt to do it on the television.
This will work easier, I think.
I think so too, and this is like a decent portion to serve to your friends and family, so you don't have a ton of food left over. But what we've got is a glue gun, and we've got Elmer's glue if we need it, and then we've got our tin. So pretty easy. All you're going to do is put the smaller tin here on the side. So we're going to just hot glue gun the edges here, and we can make sure that this is still hot. It's hot glue guns heat up very quickly, but you kind of have to put a little bit of pressure on them to get that glue out. And we're working on, I'm putting it in 3 points of contact here, just to anchor it down. All right, and then before it gets cold, you just stick it right here on the side, and we hold it in place for a second so that it stays. And then one of the things you can also do with this is like provide a little bit of extra aluminum foil underneath it to provide extra structure, and then just kind of hold it in place there. So we're just holding it in place, getting it assembled. There we go. Look at that. That's our first side. And I would say I'm a big fan of structure support in building in real life and in crafting, because we are going to be loading snacks into these. So we want to make sure that it's actually staying on. So we'll go ahead and do the next one. Do you want to man the glue gun? Or?
I think you got it.
Okay, all right.
I don't know if I'm certified.
I would say
on the
that you
glue
probably
gun.
are. So we're going to just rotate it. And we've got 2 here, so we'll take that bottom one out. And so it's looking great, right? We want to make sure that's centered. I didn't center that one, but we'll make sure that we center it on the rest,
It's
right?
looking like mile high already.
It is. So we're just putting 3 more dots on the either side of these. Looking great. All right, we'll put a little bit more on that outside just to make sure that it is secure. And then what I'm doing, I'm actually kind of like melding it around the edges so you can see that it stays and it's flush. So we're just kind of holding it there for like 3 seconds, waiting for that glue to dry. Here we go. It's a party.
It's coming together
It
already.
is coming together. I think this is just a really fun way to show off your hosting skills.
Yeah.
There we go. We've got the end zone. So we probably will stick a little bit of tin foil in the back side here, but we're going to assemble everything else first.
Cool.
So moving on to the next one, and this is just like a bread pan or like a mini like pound cake pan. So you can get these in the baking section at the grocery store. I'd say Walmart doesn't necessarily have these, but if you go to like a city market or just any sort of grocery store around, they usually will have all kinds of shapes and sizes. So even if you don't want to do a football stadium, you can start crafting with aluminum tin pans, why
Love
not?
that.
All right, we've got this next one going on here. So this is side number 3, and it's going to be...
I'm just trying to mentally prepare for the goalposts.
Oh, the goalpost, that's going to be a fun one. That's going to take a little bit of creativity. So I think it's whatever way you want to try to make it will totally work. Awesome. So we're just sticking them in there, and I am definitely pressing the edges and the glue points to the edge of the big pan. So you can see it there. So it's starting to look like a stadium. What do you think?
It's looking like it. It's getting there.
We are getting there. All right, last side here with our glue gun. So I'm putting a generous amount of glue. I don't know if you can tell here, but you just want to make sure that it'll like fill in all of the cracks between the ripples in the aluminum foil. So we've got a decent amount of glue right there. 3 points, that's probably all you need. Sides, middle, and then you just kind of, and the harder part I'd say is probably here on the end.
Yeah.
Because you've got to get your fingers in there.
Get some support under them. We'll get it looking nice.
Yeah, it's looking great. You know what I've loved? Okay, so our stadium itself is ready to go. It's all together, looking good. Now, if you wanted to put extra, like again, as I mentioned, you can put the extra tin foil underneath it, like because it'll pop off just like that. But not to worry, because hot glue will stick on there.
Yes.
You just have to be gentle with it when you are moving it back and forth.
What kind of snacks are we gonna put in this thing?
Well,
is that
I
a
think
surprise?
it
or-
could be a surprise.
Okay.
We're gonna make a dip, obviously, and then all kinds of options in regard to whatever you want to put in easier with your dip. You can be carb friendly, low carb, veggies, whatever you want. We've got all those options to show you here. All right, great. So we're just gonna let this set and let it dry. Now you do have to be careful.
Yes.
As we can see, the hot glue can sometimes pull it off, but looking good here. So goalposts. We've got straws. Let's get those going.
What you think we use the bendy part?
So
Or are
here's
we
how,
cutting these
this is
all
what
up?
I would do. We're gonna
Okay.
cut them, we're gonna try different things. So should we do 2 different colors for the
Well, why
different
not?
teams?
Yeah.
Why not, right? I'm gonna go with red.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna grab 3 red straws and we'll see how this turns out, you know. Always fun to adventure. I'd say we definitely do the bendy part.
Kim, it is always an adventure in the kitchen.
It is. So we're just gonna go ahead and pull it all the way out. You can bend your straw just like that, right? And then what we're gonna do is take our scissors and we're gonna cut. We're gonna make sure, actually before we even do that, just make sure that you're even. All right, here we go. And we're just gonna go ahead and cut it just like that. We're just throwing straws all over the place. And we're gonna stretch them out. And then here's the fun part. You're gonna take one end and make it really small and bend it if you can. Ross is
Kim,
going,
I went a
don't know if
different
my
route
fingers
here.
can-"
I just kind of pulled them out and made them into a
Yours is
goalpost.
way easier. I like your version better.
Uh,
But I guess we take tape or like, you could take glue, whatever
Yeah.
you want. But I'm just sliding it in.
Normally when I make goalposts, it's not the bendy straws. So that's
Right.
what's throwing me for a curve here. You
Right.
know? When I make my goalposts all the time like this.
Yeah, you could do it just like that. And then if you wanted to like glue your straw to it or just do your version, which I think I like better. Losing my straw there. And then we can just glue it.
You know, they say if you want to get something done efficiently,
Put a man in charge.
No, you
I'm
get
just
no,
kidding.
no. You put a lazy person in charge because they find the easiest way to get it done.
Well, I think I like your version better. We're gonna go with that.
Cool.
And then we're just gonna make 2 goalposts, and then we're gonna glue them onto either side of our stadium setup here, and then we'll fill everything in. And then we've got some fun little figurines to show everybody
Love
on
it.
the break. But this is where we're getting started. So here's our stadium. You have to be a little bit gentle. This is what it looks like. And then we'll stick those goalposts in once we've assembled the layer and the dip and all
Awesome.
the fun things. So it's gonna be a fun one. We'll be right back after this. I certainly have a weak spot in my heart for this next guest. I talked to Josh with his latest and greatest furry friend. So let's take a look at Nuzzles & Co. Now, this is always my favorite conversation because I've got Josh with Nuzzles & Co. and he always brings a cute, fun, furry friend. Josh, how are you this morning?
Doing very well. How are you?
I'm great. Who do you have with you today? We haven't seen a kitty cat on the show in a while. So who's in your arms?
It's been a long time. This is one of our residents named Rapper. He's quite the interesting little fellow. He's getting a little wiggly here. Come here, bud. Oh, look at the camera. What's going on here?
Rapper.
Rapper's about a year. He's approaching about a year and a half.
Okay.
He's pretty light. He's only about 8 pounds or so. And he's an interesting guy in that when he first came to us, he had been on a euthanasia list at a shelter. And we couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. He had a medical issue, and there was some interesting things going on. And it took a few months, but our vet team figured out he had a fungal infection going on up in his nose, and it was causing all sorts of weirdness. And so he's been treated, and You can kind of see how he's like moving around like that. He still has a little bit of a wobble to him,
Okay.
and he likes to pace quite a bit
Mhm.
and is constantly moving. So he's a really interesting cat to be around and to watch. He's just constantly entertaining.
Well, you can see just how curious he is, and he's somewhat of a kitten because he's only about a year and a half, so lots of energy still, and just enjoying the world. You can tell he's ready to go explore.
He's excited to be out of his condo right now, and we're by the window at the adoption center, so he's just looking outside and
He's
at
like,
the
why
activity.
can't I explore? Why are you making me stay here and talk to you?
One of the other interesting things about him is he has this weird tail that looks like, I don't know if it was broken or stepped on or something,
Mm.
but it has like a weird lean to one side, and it just has kind of another goofy look to it, which just adds to his just interesting nature.
He's like, please put me down now. I know you've been holding him for quite some time. So, Josh, what else is going on with Nuzzles & Co? Anything that we should be aware of? Any volunteer opportunities, cool events coming up?
We can always use your help with volunteer opportunities, fostering, and always your donations. Currently, this month, in March, we're taking food donations and supplies. And the second Saturday in April, we're connecting with Nate Wade Subaru in Salt Lake City, and we're going to be doing a pop-up pet pantry. So all the food we collect is going to be donated to families who are pet owners in need of some assistance. So we're going to basically distribute all that food and other supplies that we get through the month of March, that second Saturday in April down in Salt Lake. So if you have some food, you want to buy some food and bring it over to the adoption center, or if you're in Salt Lake, you can bring it to Nate Wade Subaru.
Awesome. Well, it looks like Rapper is quite the curious kitty, and he is ready to explore. So we won't take up too much more of your time, but Josh, where can we go to find out all of that information and to volunteer and to just see what cute pets that you have available?
Nuzzlesandco.org is our website, and you'll find all that stuff right there.
Awesome. Well, you and Rapper have a great morning and afternoon, and I hope he gets adopted quickly.
I hope so too. Thanks for having us.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now we've got a bit more on the show. We will be right back after this quick break. If you build it, they will come. We've made our stadium. Now let's fill it with some chips and some dip. We are back. We're assembling.
We switched sides.
We switched sides. Now here's the best part is putting the stuff into the stadium.
Okay.
Right? So, the gates are opening, the fans are excited.
That's
They've been
it.
hanging out in the
That's
parking
it.
lot, and they are ready to get prepared for the big game, for the pregame entertainment. So we're gonna go ahead and get that started. Now, I love a 7-layer dip. We're not gonna do 7 layers because I don't want to use the lettuce that is typically in a shredded 7-layer dip. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So what I'm gonna ask you to do, there's a really fun layer that I like. It's sour cream and taco seasoning.
Okay.
So if you wouldn't mind, we've got just a small jar. We've got about how many ounces there? We've got
A pound.
about a pound.
16 ounces.
16 ounces of sour cream. And we're just gonna put the whole jar into a bowl and then mix in the taco seasoning.
Okay.
So I'm gonna let you do that. And then the first layer of our dip is gonna start with, we've got this can of traditional refried beans. That's it. It doesn't need to be heated up. Just put it into the bottom of your pan. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this can. We're gonna use the whole can into the bottom of the pan here. And it's just gonna be really, we're getting the layer dip started. Here we go.
I love how much is going into this.
Right?
This is gonna be great.
And I'm always like the worst. And don't try this at home, kids. When you can't get your can all the way open, do not stick your fingers in it. All right, got it. All right, so yeah, you're just basically, sour cream and taco seasoning is the easiest thing. I'm gonna grab a fork here to pull
We're
this
gonna
out.
use this whole packet.
Whole packet, so
Cool.
just get it in there, mix it around. And then we've got all of the other layers as well. Well, there we go. There we go, got it? I'm just gonna take this refried bean dip just like that. And it's the easiest, it's not the most appetizing looking initially, but we're gonna get this in the bottom of the pan because it's just gonna kind of hold everything and bind everything together from our dip perspective. It provides like a good base layer to the dip. So once it's in here, I'm spreading it around while you're doing the mixing. Ross, you were looking good as a chef
I
here.
don't know about all that. I'm here for moral support.
Moral support, right? And I want to make sure that I'm not ruining the sides of my stadium. We could have assembled the dip ahead of time, but just to be on the safe side, you know, you want to see what it looks like. All right, this is looking good. Nice thin layer of these refried beans on the bottom. Ross is doing great with the taco sauce, taco seasoning, sour cream. And then I think Ross, once you are done with that, we're gonna have you put your layer on next, so no
Okay.
pressure. Looks good to me.
It's getting there. All
Yeah,
right.
get it there. So go ahead and scoop it in there, and then I'm gonna do a little bit of a spreading around. Yeah, it looks great. So we've got three different kinds of veggies: red and yellow peppers, carrots, cucumbers. We do have a little bit of celery as well, so we do actually have 4. I'm gonna grab my celery, and then the cheese. We've got cheese. You've got guacamole. We've got shredded or diced up ground beef. We've got some pico de gallo. It's the perfect 7-layer dip.
Love this.
Minus the lettuce, so it's probably a 6-layer dip.
That's okay.
Looks good to me. Awesome. Yeah, looking great. So we're just gonna spread this around, and that's the dip. So it's just sour cream and taco seasoning. It's a secret. Most people are like, what? And that's okay if there's some in the bottom, because we're just gonna stuff our fans into the crowd here. All right, looking good. Who doesn't love a good 7-layer dip? Are you a fan?
I love it.
Yeah, I am too.
Why stop at 7?
Why stop at 7? Just put all the flavors together. Awesome. Well, I'm gonna let you do this one.
All right.
That's ground beef, so it has been cooled down. You don't want to put it freshly hot right onto the dip, because it will, you know, kind of make the flavors melt a little bit. And just dump it all in there and spread it around. Yeah, you can just throw it in and make it easy, and we'll spread it around.
There we go. Just throw it in.
Easy, just like that, right? So I'm spreading around the ground beef. And if you don't like beef, you can do this with like turkey. You could do it with sausage, you know, whatever you really want to. I mean, but personally, beef is the classic, so you got to go with it. Right, looking good, looking good. So next, what we would do is usually you would do the shredded cheese and the pico de gallo on top, but because we want the guacamole to be the field, we're putting that on last. So if you
Okay.
want to spread a little bit of guacamole or a little bit of pico de gallo around, just like that. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a lot, because we're gonna use some of the cheese and a little bit of the pico de gallo to make the end zone and the hash marks. You know, it's gonna be
Yeah.
great.
My
Look.
favorite part is going to be the red zone of this, I think.
The red zone. Shout out to those who shall not be named, but a big fan of that show. All right, let's see. So we've got a little bit of this in here, and then we'll add a little cheese. So if you want to sprinkle some cheese
All
in there.
right.
And you can really, like, this is the best part, you can be creative with this. Some people don't like pico de gallo, but they just don't have to eat the dip. That's all I'm saying. Yep, so we're just gonna mix that in. Looking great. There's our dip. Yeah, perfect. Doesn't have to be too much.
No?
Yeah, I mean, whatever. We're gonna put a little bit more to make the hash marks and
Okay.
and the yard lines and all that fun stuff.
Cheese is my love language,
Cheese
so
is-
I usually go pretty heavy on that
That's fair. So you can make guacamole from scratch, but I say just do the store-bought thing. It makes this entire assembly way easier. All right, there we go. Okay, cool. So we're gonna spread the guacamole around. Do you want to do it?
one. I can sure
A lot of
try.
pressure, a lot of pressure there.
This is only our field, so
No pressure, you know, we don't want to mess it up. Looking good. I don't want to, I'll do a little bit of this and check that out. There we go.
all right, we're kind of not getting the whole field here yet, but we'll get there.
We will get there. I'm going to use a clean spoon to help you out there. And then we'll rock and roll with the assembly. Yeah, so if you needed to, you can always buy a bigger one, and then if you really wanted to, you can just spread some lettuce on top of it.
Got it.
Yeah, just like that. So here's the fun part, Ross. You get to decide who goes where, what fans are sitting where in the stands. So, and then all you have to do is start assembling it, right? So we could put more layer of guacamole on top of it. You know, it just depends on how big your dish is, but you know, looking pretty good so
looking
far.
pretty good,
You
yeah.
know, we'll go from here. And then if you really wanted to, you could just shred some lettuce on top of it. But we're just gonna go ahead and leave it just like this for now, and just to give you a general idea of what it'll look like. And Obviously, you could probably spend a long time making this perfect, but I've got some celery here. We're gonna go ahead and get that opened up. Do you want to go with the carbs or do you want to go with the veggies?
Either or, I'll help you
There
with
we go.
these.
So I would say I'm gonna do veggies on the outside. How do you feel about that?
Perfect.
Yep. All right, great. So we've got, I like to, in the essence of fans, I'm gonna put all the green veggies on one side, which is all the celery, personal opinion, and just shove that in there. Looking great. And then I'm gonna do, I've got cucumbers here, and these cucumbers, instead of a traditional, I'd say like silver dollar shape, the round shape, we went long ways. So I took a greenhouse English cucumber, I cut it into thirds, and then from there I cut those round shapes into halves, and then I just continued to make them nice, long, slender, dipping cucumbers. All right, the green team.
Green team.
Fly Eagles fly, except they're not. Sorry, fans. They're not in it. Next side, I'm gonna do the orange, the red, and these are just carrots, peppers, yellow and red peppers.
We're doing pretzels and tortilla chips on these sides.
Looks great. Awesome, looking great. I'm gonna go ahead and stick these peppers into this side, and just provides variety. So if you wanted to do this at you can really honestly do this any way that you want to. I've seen it where you've had you've got queso, then you've got guacamole, then you've got salsa, and you kind of divide it out by putting aluminum foil dividers in it. But I like the idea of one whole field.
I like it.
You know?
I like it.
It's fun, lots of fun. So we're just gonna finish doing that. And then once you've assembled all of the food, you've assembled, the stadium, the straws, then you get to start decorating it. You can take little toothpicks and make figurines. Awesome, look at that, looks great to me.
Oh, the red.
And this would be a fun little project just to show you. You can print out little figures just like this, and then if you wanted to, you can glue them to the back of a toothpick, stick them in the middle. You can do, let's do a little bit of cheese. You wanna do some cheese sprinkles to make Ash laugh? Yeah, you're the cheese guy. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then another option, you can take these red Solo cups, just like this, and put them in either corner and stick your silverware, your napkins, whatever it is that you want to do. Looking good. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm ready to dig into this right
good, yeah.
now. Yeah, look at that end zone, that
looks
cheesy
starting
end
to look
zone.
like an end zone, yeah.
It really is. It looks great. You can add more pico de gallo into it if you wanted to, just to give it some more structure. Another fun way that you can also kind of fill in the corners here, if you wanted to put salsa. So we've got just some Tostitos salsa right there. You can put it in a jar. Whatever it is, you can just kind of put more dips, like ranches if you wanted to. Not saying that you'd want to do ranch with the 7-layer dip,
Never know.
but maybe you're not into the 7-layer dip, but you want the accoutrement that come with it and something else to dip it in. So you can just do some variety. But I think I'm ready to.
That looks pretty good.
Is it Sunday yet? Because I'm ready for this. Well, should we dip into it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, what are you going with? I'm going with the classic chip. Why not? Classic chip, diving straight into the middle.
Perfect.
As I break it. But you also can provide a spoon to help people get this into their mouths. Well, I'm going to try it. Here we go.
Tastes like Sunday.
It does. And we'll be right back after this. We certainly have lots of fun and games on the show, but we also have some good conversation around health and wellness. And dermatitis is not a conversation that is had often. Earlier in the week, I spoke with a doctor about a very interesting type of dermatitis. So let's take a look. Now, a part of the medical community and things that are not often talked about are different kinds of skin conditions. And joining me today is the founder and director of the Center for Medical Dermatology and Immunology Research, Dr. Raj Chovatia. How are you, Dr. Raj?
Great, thanks. Thanks so much for having me.
Great to have you here. So you're based out of Chicago, but what you really do is talk about all things dermatology and immunology. So we're here to talk about seborrheic dermatology, and boy, is that a mouthful. So tell us exactly what it is and what the stigma is surrounding it.
Sure. So seborrheic dermatitis, or I'll give you the easy one for in the know, sebderm, is a chronic and recurrent inflammatory skin disease. And when I say inflammation in the skin, it really sort of speaks to what you see on the surface and below. So redness, patches, large flaking, greasy scales, and oftentimes a persistent itch as well. Now, with this condition, we think about it affecting often highly visible areas that have hair too. So the scalp, face, the beard area, the neck, and also the chest and back are common places where people can consider these symptoms of seborrheic dermatitis. Now, because these symptoms are so visible, there's oftentimes a really strong association with social stigma, negative self-image, and even low self-esteem. And really, it's a very common condition. About 10 million people or so, at least in the US, have it. But a lot of folks don't necessarily get to their healthcare provider in time, and there can be a very long lag period. And it's the reason why I'm excited to be here today and partner with Arcutis to talk about awareness for this condition and a new treatment option in the case of ZORYVE foam.
So what are the challenges in treatment for people living with sebderm?
Yeah, so there's a few that I'll highlight from my own clinical experience. Oftentimes, historically, we have to prescribe a lot of different products for our patients on different parts of the body, each with different instructions for different amounts of time. It's really hard to keep track of and can make care very, very complicated. And additionally, with hair-bearing areas like the scalp, this is a challenge because traditional topical agents like creams, gels, or ointments are just very difficult to apply. And therefore, patients just have not been particularly satisfied with their treatment options to date.
So can you tell us a little bit more about what treatments are available for patients now?
Sure. So, for the first time in 2 decades, we have a first-in-class prescription topical foam that's approved by the FDA specifically for the treatment of seborrheic dermatitis. So this is ZORYVE, or roflumilast topical foam 0.3%. New treatment available for individuals, adults, and children 9 years and up. And a couple of points to really take away with ZORYVE foam is that it's a once-daily, steroid-free treatment option that actually targets one specific source of inflammation that we think about associated with seborrheic dermatitis. The nice thing is that it's convenient for use anywhere on the body, all skin and hair types, and it's actually water-based formula, so it's fragrance-free with no common irritants as well.
That's great. So we've talked about the treatment, we've talked about what it is, but what are typically the causes and how does it usually develop on a patient?
Yeah, so very long and multifactorial discussion, but I like to really boil it down when I'm having that discussion with my patients about inflammation, really, that's driven by a variety of different factors. And that's really sort of the entire point of ZORYVE foam is to target phosphodiesterase 4, or PDE4, which is one of the elements that's part of the inflammatory pathway that we think about associated with this disease. And in clinical studies of over 700 individuals that were treated with ZORYVE foam, which includes a number treated with the foam itself and individuals who use the vehicle as well, about 77% of individuals had clear or almost clear skin after 8 weeks, compared to only about 50% who used the vehicle without the medication alone. I do want to point out that the most common side effects that we're seeing were common cold, nausea, and headache.
Okay, great. Well, where can we go for more information to better educate ourselves on what it is and how to treat it and just how to be prepared?
Well, the first thing I always advise is make sure you have that talk with your healthcare provider, and in this case, to really see if ZORYVE foam is going to be the right option for you. And there's a lot of great information available at zoryve.com. That would be ZORYVE.com, where you can get information about seborrheic dermatitis, full prescribing information, and important safety information to highlight some of the things that we talked about together today.
Wonderful. Well, Dr. Chovatiya, thank you so much for all that you do, all of the research and the advising that you are putting behind all of this. So we appreciate you. And again, thanks for joining us on the second day of spring.
Thanks so much for having me.
Now stay tuned. We've got a lot more happening in this first hour, and we'll be right back after this short break. great Saturday morning. Lots of fun was had and lots of interesting conversations that were educational as well. I'm your host, Kimberly Pro. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you tomorrow.